Hello and welcome to the Astroenergetic Tapestry report for Monday, February 17th until Sunday, February 23rd of 2014. I am Wendy Villanueva, here with my astrological colleague, Starlene Brighter, and we are here to give to you some astrological advice about the energies we're going to encounter this coming week. We are both professional astrologers. You can find me on my website at astrophilia.net. And Starlene, where can I find yours?
Hi, and thanks for tuning in. You can find me at rockstarastrologer.com and the podcast to the Astroenergetic Tapestry report on cosmicconference.com. We put them out on Sunday evenings. Look for them there. So, Wendy, do you want to start us off with Monday, February 17th?
On Monday, we wake up to a void of course moon, which will stay there up until around a bit afternoon. And it will be transitioning from Virgo onto Libra, and it will probably be like a time which is a bit of out of sorts, a little bit of a more reflective, meditative time that doesn't make as much sense or doesn't feel as productive, but that's okay. It might also be that we notice that we have some difficulties communicating our thoughts or our ideas, and it's not so much what we already know that we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde. It's kind of something added to it. It's more like your thoughts and feelings are different channels kind of doing their own thing, and you feel like you can't really align them for them to say exactly what you mean. But that will get better as the day moves on.
Yeah, the morning time kind of reminds me of that moment when you're in Mercury retrograde and car doesn't start for some silly reason because the battery died or something, and then your phone call never made it through or your email never made it, and just one of those times when it's like all those things, those little tiny Mercury retrograde things happen to pile up and annoy you, and you just can't help but laugh about them. So I think the morning of February 17th, which actually happens to be President's Day too in the United States, which is cool. A lot of people are off of work, so it'll be kind of like an extra day to chill out, which I think is good because aside from Mercury silliness in the morning, like you were saying, it does kind of chill out for us. The moon does ingress into Libra, and that happens at 1:23 p.m. When the moon enters into Libra, we're brought the energy of wanting to feel connected with other people. When the moon is in Virgo, we're more meticulous about things, we're more interpersonal about things. We're more trying to keep our house clean, get things in order. That's kind of the fashion that we feel. And I truly can tell you, the moon, when it is in Virgo, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like cleaning my house. And then I look and the moon is in Virgo and I'm like, wow, that's kind of funny. But then when the moon moves into Libra, you do feel like being closer to other people. So this might be a good time for you to connect with other people, but not necessarily go out because you do still feel a little strange. Tomorrow the sun moves into Pisces, and so right now the sun is at the end of Aquarius, and a lot of times when the sun is at the end of a sign, you feel kind of awkward. Do you ever notice that, Wendy?
Yeah, it very much feels like when you're shifting gear from one until the next, you're in this in-between stage where nothing is really on, or holding on, or pulling or pushing anywhere. And it might be that this last day of Aquarius kind of brings back the themes that have been going on for the whole month of Aquarius, like this more mental realm, or whatever issues, like this kind of final day before we move on from that period of time. So I think it's a really good time to relax, to maybe the moon in Libra also helps to become a bit of a better negotiator about issues that have been going on during the last month, to kind of be able to weigh things on a more objective way, to kind of try and make decisions later on. But it's a good time to relax and to do something where you just feel balanced.
Yeah, I agree with that. So moving on to Tuesday, February 18th, 2014, the morning, we kind of feel a little electrical. And what I mean by that is we feel busy. We feel like we're rushing here or there. We feel like we drank a little too much coffee. We might have drank a little too much coffee, or we might just feel that way. And that is a really good time to invoke some inspiration, and it's a really good time to remember to also take your time in doing things. Don't speed through things to the point where you skipped something over, Mercury is in retrograde still, remember, or you forget something, make sure you double check your stuff. But I do feel like it's a good time to go ahead and go through some inspiration you might have been thinking about, working on something creative, or if you're into meditating and that's your inspirational kind of energy, depending on who you are and what you do, that's inspiring. Maybe jumping out of airplanes is inspiring to you. It's not to me, but, go do that, or, do something inspiring, creative, meditating, whatever it is that inspires you. I think that would be a good thing. So what were you kind of feeling for like a little bit later in the afternoon, Wendy?
Well, for example, I would think also that this holiday feels very watery, like a very high level of emotional sensitivity, because there's so many things making aspects that have to do with water signs, including the sun moving on to Pisces. And I feel that towards the afternoon there will be an increase in, like, our emotions and feelings will seem very big, like big expansion of them, and that could be used in a very positive way, like a broadening of our horizons of what we allow ourselves to include in our lives. And also it could be a bit of a time for bursting up if we are not all that conscious of how we're handling things. But I do think that the energy of the sun entering into Pisces at 12:59 p.m. Will be like a leaving of the more airy intellectual thinking or mental side of Aquarius into a more watery, sensitive Pisces.
Yeah, kind of like a psychic Pisces.
Yeah,
I think that Pisces are psychic by nature. I mean, I think we all are, but Pisces and Scorpios have a very close tendency, I think maybe because they're water signs, but that kind of feeling, and especially if you're inclined to that kind of thing is going to be high energy for Tuesday. I also think it's important as the sun moves into Pisces is if sometimes I notice Pisces is a very emotional, like you said, but one thing I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying is that if you feel some emotions coming out, and not only just is the sun moving into an emotional energy, it's also moving, and if you're feeling like, wow, all of a sudden here I'm thinking kind of person, and all of a sudden I'm an emotional kind of person, any woman would understand that. And if you're feeling like that, let it out, let it go. Do it in a healthy way. If you need to journal, if you need to talk to somebody, if you need to talk to your cat, whatever it is, do it. And I think that would really, really help you to kind of focus that energy and allow it to happen. But the rest of the day, aside from that, it looks kind of pretty smooth sailing. So, enjoy your first hours of Pisces, which is on Tuesday. What do you have for Wednesday, February 19th, Wendy?
On Wednesday, the 19th of February, we wake up with a sense of wanting to make our ideas more tangible in some way. This might be being able to communicate them clearly, or it might be being able to making something real out of them, putting them to practice, to action, like becoming a bit more real with ourselves in our life, like giving the next step of making a decision of what idea that we have been thinking about is something that will benefit us and what not, so we can be more discriminative of things that are just not useful, and then keep the things and the information that is useful for us and that we want to use in our life. So it would be a really good time to write things, to make that kind of decisions of what thought patterns are useful for us and what we want to bring with us onto the future. So then we will continue on for pretty much the whole day or most of the day, and it will help us feel like we're giving some structure to our lives, to our thoughts, and that this Mercury retrograde doesn't feel quite as crazy. Maybe it just feels like we're getting the message that this Mercury retrograde is meaning to bring us. Maybe some new information came to the surface, and now we understand what was sort of distraction information and what we need to focus on. So it would feel more like it makes more sense.
It's funny to me sometimes Mercury in retrograde is that Mercury in retrograde seems more powerful during its station periods right before and right after it turns retrograde, which I agree with, especially if you have planets right there. But during the Mercury retrograde, if you're not being inundated with all of these little events that happen that Mercury has that energy for, you can look at it and analyze it, and you can say, well, why did this happen? And, kind of fix it. And in all honesty, when you look back, it usually makes things for the better. You know what I mean? And I've noticed like 2 Mercury retrogrades ago. It was in the summer last year. I had a horrific Mercury in retrograde. I had things like my refrigerator broke, my hot water heater broke, my web major events happened, my car broke down, all in like this 2-week period of time, all under Mercury retrograde. And I was like, oh my God, it's all of this going on. But I said to myself, I'm going to figure it out. Everything's going to get sorted out and all of this, but it just needs to take, one step at a time. And that's what I did, So I guess that was my lesson in that. And I believe that this day is kind of giving you a glimpse of that if you're able to look at it from that perspective. Some of us aren't able to look at it from that perspective. I know, even as enlightened as I am. That's a joke. Sometimes I feel like I can, I get frustrated too. I'm human. Everybody does. So things happen. So just kind of look at it like that. When the moon conjuncts Mars, I believe that's at 4:52 p.m. I believe that gives us a lot of energy to our emotions. So we might have in the evening time, we might have the energy of some deep emotions coming out or some quick emotions coming out. The moon also enters into Scorpio at 10:53 p.m. And at that time, we may feel a shift of our energies from going to Libra, which is thinking Libra, into Scorpio, which is another watery sign. So we might be feeling a little bit more emotional ourselves. The moon conjuncting Mars, then the moon also entering into Scorpio gives an energy of emotions, so leading up to next week, there's a lot of large vibrations that we might be starting to feel, things that are big and outlandish. This sort of energy can be 2 different ways. It can be very exciting and positive and inspirational. Hopefully that's what it is. If it's not so positive and inspirational, it can be very transformative, okay? This aspect I'm referring to is not exact for another week. But as this week progresses, the excitement in the air will also start to have a little bit bigger and bigger every day. So more grandiose and large ideas too. So my suggestion with this is to have fun with yourself. Just don't try to lose yourself in too much fun or too much out of control stuff. Keep your cool for that matter. And let this energy be happy for you and positive for you, because it typically is, but it could also indicate bigger surprises that aren't necessarily positive, but it could indicate, some fun too. So try to lean on that side.
This energy, this building up energy already can be sensed this week, and do it like Celine mentioned, it just begins increasing over time, and it very much feels like an incoming thunderstorm, that you just feel electricity in the air and this kind of weird, calm, impending something coming that will maybe kind of almost shake things. But it's deeply keen. And once it's like happened or gone, the energy just brings a lot of oxygen, a lot of fresh air, a lot of life, and very needed release. So it could be something, it is something extremely, this can lead to breakthroughs in things, to sudden bursts of inspiration out of nowhere, or like Sterling warned us, it could also be accidents. So we might want to be aware, watchful of what's going on around us and of ourselves, and we can learn a lot of very interesting things in this period of time.
I agree with you. So that was Wednesday, the 19th. Do you want to start us off with Thursday, the 20th?
Okay. I think on Thursday, the 20th, we start off feeling pretty good inside our skins. I think we feel pretty positive and like we are in tune, like things make sense better today. We begin also feeling good amount of energy to begin tackling things from the beginning. Maybe it's not such a day that takes us a long time to wake up and get moving and get ideas anywhere, but the kind of day that we kind of seem to be up to things, moving with things easily. And it might also feel the kind of day we feel somehow motivated and emotional, sensitive towards our vision of our ideals, or something that's very important to us and to our lives. Maybe a kind of spacey day, but in a very idealistic and positive, dreamy way, like a very Piscean type of, Neptunian Piscean type of way in which we want to see our ideals and we are able to see them, and we feel more excited about them as the day moves on, in a very positive way, I feel. Almost in a healing way that we are reminded of them very much in this day.
I'm also feeling like towards the evening, we'll feel a lot more calm and peaceful. about releasing some of the emotions or the things that we've been holding in ourselves, that we've been, holding deep within ourselves, that we talked about the last couple of days and the last couple of weeks, actually. There was a lot of cathartic releasing that was going on. And I think that this time would be a really good time to do something really healthy for yourself, like communicating with a friend of yours or being able to journal something down. I know I've given the suggestion more than once, but it seems like this has been like a major theme that's been going on in the energies of right now, journaling a lot. And when in the journaling, I think reflecting back on the things that you journal about is really helpful too. It helps you to see where you're at and where you're going. So I think this time tonight would be really helpful for you to do that and to let some of those feelings that have come out or that have come to the surface, in the last couple of weeks to actually come out a little bit. And it won't be so like cathartic when they do. It won't be like the end of the world, like, oh my God, this happened and it was so bad. It would just be more like a conversation with yourself and a coming to terms with things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do think so. I think also that same feeling of coming to terms with things will bring a inner feeling of well-being, of being sort of connected to things, not feeling so isolated perhaps, but of being loved, of being able to appreciate beauty and love around us, and to lead to our family, our extended friends, any people we see.
Yeah, I think it will be a good night on Thursday night to have those emotions come out. On Friday, February 21st, 2014, in the morning, you might feel like some of these deep emotions that we were talking about last night to come to a head and to be able to express them. If you're sleeping at this time, that's cool. They might come out in a dream state. You might have some kind of revelation or something that comes to you at night. Getting a good night's sleep is a good idea. It's healthy for your body. So go ahead and try to sleep if you can. But if not, express some of these emotions. The energies present are good for expressing emotions tonight. And in the mid-morning, you'll be feeling a lot more relaxed, a lot more content with the love, the beauty, the being, the what was the word that you said, seeing the beauty in the ugly? That would be something that I think that the late morning would bring you. What about you? What do you think the late morning would bring you?
Late morning until mid-afternoon will probably deep sense of well-being, of being connected, of feeling love around us, of being able to appreciate beauty in things and the situations, our lives and the things we have, on the people we are, the people who are around you. It might be that we need to express it, and this would be a really good time to express emotions that have been maybe gathering up if you haven't done so in any way before. This would be a good moment to do so in a more loving, friendly, and kind way if you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation with someone or just sort of voice out something. It will be a pretty good time to do this late morning or mid-afternoon.
In the early evening time, we're giving the energy of structure to what we have been working with today in the realm of communication and the deep emotions of the past couple days. And we're also given lessons. These lessons can come from our families or loved ones and our personal history that we all have. This doesn't mean that the energy is negative. Rather, it could mean that we have some resolution at some level that was not there in the past. And this is a time of healing. So at the very least, understanding the lessons that you're going through during this transit this evening would be useful to you. That's kind of what I saw for Friday, February 21st.
On Saturday, February the 22nd, we wake up to the moon moving from deep, watery waters of Scorpio onto a more fiery and inspiring, adventurous sign of Sagittarius. And this will be a very different type of energy for the next couple of days. It will be much more optimistic and upbeat, much more energetic, bouncy, expansive. So it will be lightening. It will feel like a kind of a bit of a waking up in a sense. And it will motivate us to explore the world around us or to expand our horizons in some area. It will be a good time to do that, I think.
In the mid-afternoon, our own personal ego and our emotions may feel either intense or intensely good. Our affirmation we would give for this is, all is right in my world because it is. And if you feel it, you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. You know, it's important for us to remember to set our mind to accomplishing what we want and actually taking steps to making that happen. Along the afternoon, there comes a dreamy energy. You know, it is a Saturday afternoon, so if you're not working, then go ahead and relax yourself, enjoy yourself. If you are working, then you might have difficulty concentrating. If you aren't working and you're into some kind of spiritual practice, maybe that's something that you should invoke. Do some Reiki on yourself, do some meditation, do something like that. The evening and the afternoon on Saturday would benefit you with that. You might feel a little spacey, so that's kind of what I'm seeing for Saturday the 22nd.
On Sunday, February the 23rd, we have I actually kind of like this day of the week the best probably, or I look forward to it the most because the sun will be conjunct Neptune in the sky at 1:11 p.m., which is actually a pretty auspicious number, if I may mention. That means that they are on the same spot in the sky. They are together, and they combine their energies in such a way that this feels like a very spiritual day, like the kind of day when we can really have a very clear link to our higher selves or the spirit or however we understand the divine, or some kind of experience that really expands us inwardly.
I'm kind of feeling what you're saying. I also feel like it might be a day that we have, if we're inclined to having psychic dreams or visions or intuitions, we might have those kind of things happen. But if we're not that type of person, we're more the, normal type of basic person, the things that we might encounter are deja vus or things that, that was a little weird happening kind of things, that might happen to us. We might actually notice that we can manifest things a little bit quicker on this day too. So if you're into doing some kind of energy work, this might be a great day to do that. Then later in the afternoon, also writing things down and feeling emotionally well about that would be beneficial to you. It would be a good time to either talk about them or do more communicating about the different things that have been going through your mind during your little vacation on Sunday in your mind, because I feel like that's what this kind of day is going to mean. The sun conjunct Neptune only happens, once a year, but it seems always like the pink fuzzies come out, like things just kind of like float around and stuff, and it's a nice day, so it's kind of a good energy.
It totally seems like the kind of really spacey day in which we might kind of all, particularly in this day, we seem that we all have created our own reality and we're all sort of immersed in it or floating in it. And it might be a bit different than the neighbors, but it's still this idealistic vision of our reality.
That makes perfect sense. It's kind of like our idealistic moment of what we want to bring into our life, kind of because we attract things on a vibrational level into our lives, and many different things on many different levels we do. So it's interesting to look at it from that perspective.
Well, this concludes another one of our Astroenergetic Tapestry reports for the week ahead, February 17th until 23rd of 2014. We hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast. You can check the cosmicconference.com show page to listen in and even download us under the podcasts on iTunes. Again, you can find me at astrophilia.net and star.
You can find me at rockstarastrologer.com.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening, you guys. We'll see you next week, and look for us on Facebook.com, Astroenergetic Tapestry Report, when we put out our daily reports and our videos and our podcasts. All right. Thanks, Cindy. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Celine.
Bye.